Hi folks, a very warm welcome to another video. I hope this one does find you in good spirits. I want to start by saying thank you for the support that you've shown the old fella since returning from hiatus, and really more broadly the support you've shown during the existence of this channel. That thank you is directed at, well, 99.8% of you. It is not directed at a person who chose to share their thoughts on a recent video, chose to share their hate on a recent video, well, towards me, towards other people that had commented on the video, towards the world at large. If that person happens to be watching, there's a reason that your comments don't appear in the comment thread for that video, champ. And I hope you get the help that you need. I'll just leave it at that. For everyone else, a very genuine and hearty thank you. Folks, I've got a first impressions for you today. First impressions video. We're going to do, I think we'll do 4 legs, actually. So this is 4 videos in one. How's that for value? Featuring this gorgeous little aircraft. This is the Van's RV-8 by SimWorks Studios. Recently released. Now, really important to note before you go any further in this video, folks, if you're here looking for a detailed review of this aircraft, you've knocked on the wrong door. Go somewhere else. I'm actively inviting you to watch other channels if you're looking for a detailed review. You're not going to get a detailed review. You're going to get a first impressions style video. And that for me means that I'm going to cover what kind of catches my attention of this aeroplane. I'm not going to go through every detail. I'm not going to review every system. I'm not going to explore every nook and cranny. Alright? Just the occasional nook and 1 or 2 crannies. That's all you're going to get here on the channel, folks. But we're going to do 4 flights in this aeroplane. The other, I guess, disclaimer that I'd offer at the start here is that I have not watched a single video featuring this aeroplane, nor read an article or anything. The only reason I know about its existence is because of the SimWorks Studios Discord, and I thought I'm actually in the market for a little trainer, a nice fast trainer, something a little bit fun. And I do own most of the SimWorks Studios offerings, including one of their other RVs, which I actually didn't enjoy much. So I thought I'll give them another chance. I actually like the look of the RV-8. I like its performance, I like what it offers, and for the price, which is about 25 or 26 Aussie dollars, you get a whole bunch of variants. Yeah, and it's going to scratch an itch that I personally have at the moment. For a fast GA tourer with good visibility, this one fits the bill. So first impression style video, we're going to go for, what did I say, 4 flights? Yeah, 4 legs. We're in a little place that you may have heard of. This is Unalaska. They're in the Aleutian Islands. Hey, the North Pacific, the Aleutian Islands. So 4 flights, 4 shortish legs. We'll explore 4 different variants of this aircraft. I think you get 8 variants in total. We're gonna cover 4, and I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy myself. I've only flown this for about half an hour to this point, folks. So I'm not an RV-8 pilot. I'm not a particularly good sim pilot of any description. But if you're thinking, oh, that aircraft looks interesting, I'd like to get someone else's opinion, and that someone else is an old fella, hey? Well, that's what you're going to get. First impressions, RV-8 from SimWorks Studios. Let me show you the flight plan exactly, and then we'll get underway. So as mentioned, we are in the Aleutian Islands this morning. The Aleutian Islands basically dividing the North Pacific from the Bering Sea, as well as this little island chain. You may have flown along this chain of islands if you're doing a around the world sort of trip, and you don't want to go up through that part, being Russia, etc. You want to kind of scoot across here. I think I've done it once in a bug smasher, sort of like 7 or 8 legs. get across here. But yeah, pretty remote part of the world. I haven't been here for very, very many years, so I thought, why not? let's do it. So 4 legs, begin our journey in Papa Alpha Delta uniform, Unalaska. First leg will take us up to Cape Sarashev, then to Cold Bay, then to Sandpoint, before our destination of Perryville. So we'll fly a different variant each time. We've got glass, Analogue, we've got Tailwheel, and we've got the other one. I can't remember the name of it at this point. You know the one. The one where you have a Nosewheel. What is that called? Yeah, that. Anyway, folks, let me get us started and on our way. Actually, before we get on our way, let's just have a quick squiz at the old VC. This is the Analogue Tailwheel variant. Actually, the 3-bladed props. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, just checking. Look at that, hey? I've got company today, folks. Kingy joins me. Doesn't he look at home in the back of an RV-8? He'd probably prefer to be up front. We might be able to arrange that, Kingy. Hey? In one of these legs. We might try and do that. Anyway, a younger version of myself, much younger, like 120 years younger, sits up front. But back into the VC. This is the VC. It's pretty well done. I like it. I'm not an expert in texturing and all that visual goodness, folks, but geez, it looks pretty bloody good to me. I like it. It looks a little bit flat, I suppose, is probably a word I'd use to describe. That's not a criticism, but looks nice, eh? You got a stick, you got a fuel selector, you got mixture prop and throttle over here. Comes obviously with the GTN integration if you've got the PMS, which I do, or the TDI, you get that. There is also other avionics options. If you click this little click spot up here, you can swap it to the GNS 530, etc. Magic like that. Hey, swap it back. It's a nice little click spot there. Also has a magnetic compass right here. If you happen to click this click spot, you'll get the magnetic compass. I've happened to have removed it. Analogue 6-pack, lovely. I'm a big fan of the old steam gauges, all the other instrumentation that you would expect from an aircraft of this sort. Autopilot panel down here, switches, etc. Yeah, you've got a canopy that slides. If you click, where have I got to click here? I've got to click the actual canopy, do I? Back here somewhere? There we go. No, that's the lock. That's the canopy. And then you lock it down here. Lock him in place. There we go. As I said, folks, it's genuine kind of first impressions here on the channel. Flown it for about half an hour. Really enjoyed it, but there's stuff that I'm still discovering about it. And I like that. And I'm going to share that with you. So, as long as you're okay, as long as you're not looking for expertise, and someone who's studied the aircraft for 120 hours before making a video, then you're very welcome to stick around. Yeah, that's all I can probably show you from the VC. Jump back here now. I have to imagine that Kingy, well, we know that Kingy's there. There he is, but I'd love him to appear here. I don't know how to make that happen. If there is a way, I don't see it in the manual. And like I said, I haven't watched any other videos. If there is a way to make Kingy appear, I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, I'll get us started and out onto the runway. Where it's weather-wise, it's looking pretty bloody good. That's because I'm using a preset. The actual weather today in this part of the world is not so great. Not really conducive to making a video or doing the flights that I want to do. So the beauty of the sim, folks, you control the weather. Let's go flying. Alright, here we are lined up runway 31 for our departure. We are taking off clean. I don't know whether you're meant to take off with a stager flap or not. Probably. But it doesn't matter. It's a nice looking aeroplane, isn't it? Hey? And a nice sounding aeroplane too, from the limited time I have spent with it. For those of you that are interested in performance in terms of how this will run on your rig, well, I can't really tell you how it's going to run on your rig because it's your rig, but I can tell you how it runs on mine. If I just do a little shortcut here and do this, you can have a squiz for yourself. Top left hand corner of the screen, folks. I've blown that overlay up a little bit, mainly so that I can read it. Getting around about 60 FPS here on the ground. Now, there's not a lot happening weather-wise. It's not a particularly busy airport in terms of objects and stuff. It's just stock airport. Getting 60 FPS, which is pretty good actually for my rig. I'm pleased with that. Will it change as we jump down into the VC? Potentially. It drops a little bit, so we go to 50, mid 50s, right? That's what you get in this variant anyway on my rig. Now my rig's not top of the line. It was pretty good 4 years ago, as was I. Well, in some ways. I was better at some things 4 years ago than I am now, that's for sure. But it runs pretty well. You know, there are some aeroplanes that don't run so well on my rig. 4-year-old machine, I really don't have an upgrade path, as the cool kids call it. I've got to make do with what I've got, potentially for a long time to come. So I'm happy with it. Performance-wise, it runs pretty well. I am running the auto FPS tool, but I don't run any of that other frame Jenny stuff, all the stuff that, you know, the cool kids run. I don't do any of that, folks. So I've just got the auto FPS tool, which is fantastic. I have featured it before in other videos. Should we go flying, Kingy? I think we will. We've got all of the levers in the right places. Switches, I think, are right. We'll do this thing. I'll just get rid of that overlay, folks. Oh, which also changes my views. Now, handful on the ground. Well, handful during the takeoff roll is what I found in my limited experience with it so far. We'll see what happens, folks. Fingers crossed, sphincters tight, prayers to the simming gods and all that sort of stuff. Low expectations, folks, and you won't be disappointed here on this channel. We'll slowly introduce the juicy. Bit more juicy. Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, I think it does anyway. Bit more right boot, fella. Tailwheel will come up. Whee! It's just a little bit too much right boot. As I said, she's a challenge on the ground. I'm going to try and get airborne here, folks. That was not pretty. There's probably a real skill required to get this thing, or keep this thing straight and lift it off the ground in a controlled manner. I'm sure you guys will work that out. We'll just come back on the juicies a little bit and on the prop. Sort of cruise out about 25, something like that. A nice early right turn here. What I will say in terms of handling is that it doesn't feel as nimble as I thought it would. But that may have something to do with my controller settings, I feel. Like particularly in roll, it's a little... it's less nimble is how I would describe it than what I expected. It feels a little bit heavier, perhaps. That's the word I'm looking for, I don't know. The RV-14, for example, which I also have. I mean, haven't flown it for a long time, but that felt... nimble is one word. It felt really light. This thing feels a little heavier. That's not a criticism, alright? It may have something to do with my controller settings not being suited for this particular aeroplane. But I'm not going to muck around with my controller settings. I've got them where I like them for most of the other aeroplanes I fly. We're getting along, cruising at around about 120 knots. So knots on the inside of the airspeed indicator, miles per hour on the outside, folks, here in the Analogue. Climbing at about 1400 feet per minute, doing it pretty easily, 25-ish. We'll probably cruise across at about 3.5, something like that. Although the clouds, we'll be riding cloud at 3.5. I might try and take us up a little higher. We want to get clear of the white stuff. But anyway, I'll join you during the cruise. We'll get Georgie doing some flying, and I'll share anything else that sort of comes to mind about this aircraft. Well, welcome to the cruise, folks. We've got Georgie engaged. We're cruising at, I wanted to cruise at 5, but what's 60 feet between friends, eh? I won't tell if you don't, folks. We're just kind of dodging that hill. Volcano would be my guess. Volcanic region up here, is it? Well, back in the day, it would have been. Fantastic visibility in this aeroplane. One of the reasons that I was interested in picking it up. It's just absolutely beautiful. The bubble canopy, forward viz, out to the left-hand side now. Yeah, fantastic. Sounds-wise, for me, it sounds pretty I should say, I was going to say authentic. I've never flown a Vans, but it sounds as I expect it to sound. It's pretty good. We'll just change our heading to get back sort of towards track, Georgie. Sort of bring it around to about 050 mate, if you don't mind. Might take an external while we do that. Nice looking aeroplane. Nice livery, this one. I'll link to it in the description. There's a few nice liveries that have started to appear on the .ta. This is very nice. Shout out to our livery painters. Your fantastic work. Yeah, there we go, folks. I think I'll see you next for an approach into our first point of call, and we're going to be swapping variants. We might fly the non-tailwheel version, the RV-8A, for our next leg, and yeah, I'll see you closer to our first destination. Alright, so we've given Georgie a few minutes off, and we're hand flying the approach into Cape Sarachef. Not sure exactly what the runway orientation is. Well, it's kind of heading towards the northwest, Cape Sarachef. Not important. What I will say about this aeroplane in terms of the approach segment is that we'll try and maintain visibility with terra firma as we cut through the white stuff, is that she's quite a slippery bird. Quite slippery. This is not an aircraft that you can sort of leave, get behind. Right, you've got to kind of stay ahead of it a little bit. Famous last words. We're down through 2.5, we're 7.8 to run. We're okay profile wise. We're slowed down to about 160 miles an hour. That's a big hill here on this island. Really would like to hear from you if you hail from this part of the world, folks. Always enjoy hearing from locals in the comments. Yeah, and in terms of landing sort of performance, I don't think I've been flying it by the book in the few flights I did prior to this one, so I'm going to try and take an educated sort of guess at speeds and stuff. We're down to 140 miles an hour. So far so good. It looks like we're going to have a light crosswind for our arrival. It feels really nice to hand fly. If, as I mentioned earlier, a little heavier in the field than what I expected. Not a complaint, just an observation. Look at those textures. The colours is beautiful. Nature in all of its glory. That's like something you'd see in Iceland or something. That's beautiful. Now, what should we expect? Have we got a hard strip down here at the Cape Sarachef? Absolute minimum amount of planning has been done. Down to 140 miles per hour, down to 2,000 feet, 5 miles to run. Trying to give ourselves a fighting chance here by setting ourselves up for probably about a 3-mile final or something like that. Just reducing that rate of descent to get us slowed down into 120 or 125 miles an hour, about 110 knots. I think we can go a stage of flap at this point. 3 stages of flap in the RV. We'll take a stage, and if the wings don't fall off, then we're safe. There we go, we took a stage. She starts to slow down a little bit more. Just note that extended sort of centre line that comes with the GTN isn't exactly lining up the runway by the looks of it. Oh well. We continue. We've slowed nicely now, 110 mile an hour, just under 100 knots. No gear to worry about. She's fixed. 3 miles to run down through 1600. Not sighting a strip at this time. Have we got a strip out there? Strip sighted. That'll be the one. We've got ourselves slowed down nicely here. We've done that all right. We've got ahead of the aeroplane, but we might get a little bit slow. Really low wide arc on this beast. Down to what is it? About 85 miles an hour. pretty bare out here, isn't it? Wild place. Could be a wild landing too, folks. I'll take another stage of flap. The wings didn't fall off. Always a good sign for an approach if the wings stay fixed to the fuselage. Through 90 miles an hour now. Can we get down into the wide arc? Retrimming. Can we get into the wide arc before we hit the ground? One stage of flap to come. Light crosswinds. Wide arc, come on. I'm right off that juicy now. I'm determined to get into the wide arc. Wide arc sorted. Full flaps are set now. We're going to need a lot more power to get us there. We get real slow. That angle of attack indicator will start to look a little bit concerning. 80 miles an hour, about 70 knots at this time. That feels like a nice approach speed to me. Nothing left to do other than to put it on. It's like runway 35 here at Cape Sarashev. Ooh, stall warning just came on before touchdown. Try and keep us rolling straight. There we go, folks. Welcome to Cape Sarashev, Alaska. I'll get us parked. We'll switch variants and I'll see you for the next leg. Okay, so we have switched variants. We've lost Kingy for some reason, and we've lost myself, but then again, I've been lost my whole life. So we're in the two-bladed variant of the Nosewheel RV-8A aircraft. Nice livery as well. This is a stock livery, I think, that comes with the aeroplane. I think I've downloaded this one, the old checkerboard on the rudder and stuff. There we go. So, same deal, folks, as the first leg. We'll take this one for a fly. There's not a great deal of difference, really, in this compared to the Tailwheel version. There are differences, but they're relatively subtle. I think I prefer the look of the Tailwheel for an RV-8 aircraft. I think it looks better than this one, but hey, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, folks. I'll get us started and on our way towards our next destination, which I think is Cold Bay. And welcome on board, folks. Engine start has been achieved. We are flying the glass version. So you get basically the Analogue and the glass in each of the bladed variants. Right, so you've got tailwheel and non-tailwheel, and then you've got two-bladed and three-bladed for each of those, and then you've got the Analogue and the glass for each of those. So 8 variants in total. This is the glass. This is the G3X thing. It's pretty bloody nice, I've got to say, even for a person who doesn't really like the glass. It's a little bit noisy. I've got the canopy open. That's why. Let's close that, see if it changes the sound. It gets a little bit quieter, doesn't it? Hey? Though I guess having that canopy open when it's a warm day is helpful. Plus you just look really cool, strutting around the field, open canopy, RV-8, glass panel. Hey, you're doing all right in life, aren't you? Anyway, folks, I'll get us out onto the runway 34, whatever it was. Then a right-hand turn, and then on our way towards Cold Bay, Alaska. Right, we are lined up, but before we depart, I might just re-familiarise myself and perhaps yourself with the avionics setup here, because it is quite impressive. the information, the situational awareness that you get through this sort of setup, yeah, it's impressive. So this is the Garmin GTN 650 over here. So I'm going to run that with a flight plan, just a straight magenta run across the Cold Bay. Comms panel. We've got the autopilot panel, which is down here. We've got an altitude selector that we can use here. So we'll plug in 3.5. There we go. 3.5. Bingo. Some switches, etc. Yeah, there's an autopilot master switch which you need to activate. We'll have a look at the autopilot, well, potentially during this leg. Before the end of the video, I'll do something with the autopilot, folks. We've got a backup display over here. What else? The rest of it looks pretty much the same as the earlier Tailwheel variant. We've also got smoke here. Hey, and smoke, I mean smoke coming out the back, not, you know, a sneaky durry. You know, for those of you here in Australia who can remember the existence of the old Winnie Blues, no, it's not that. It's smoke at the back. Can it be activated on the ground, I wonder? It looks like it can. Just as the aircraft designer intended. Have a look at that. Oh, I enjoy myself, folks. I'll get rid of that smoke. Sorry, Kingy. Sorry, folks. Oh, our frames have just absolutely tanked. We'll get rid of that smoke. That's going to be a little bit distracting. That'll dissipate slowly. Take an external for you as that happens. There it goes. Oh, yes. Very heavy on the frames, folks, as we wait for the smoke to clear the active. Oh, folks, I enjoy myself. That's all I can say. I enjoy myself. And look, those of you that are still with me, still listening or still watching this video after how many minutes have surpassed, I want to say thank you to you. The average sort of watch time on my videos is something like 3 minutes or something, right? So if you're still here, it's well beyond 3 minutes. But if you only want to watch for 3 minutes, well, I hope it's an enjoyable 3 minutes. I may have said that to a few women over the years. May only be 3 minutes, but hey, it's an entertaining 3 minutes. Folks, should we go flying so I can shut up? Let's do it. Juicies. Sounds very much like the other airplane. The other variant. Here we go. A bit more juicy, a bit more right rudder required. Here we go. We'll keep it reasonably straight on the strip. Up through 50 knots. I think we can kind of rotate about 70, can't we? Oh, she's off nicely. There we go. Oh, doesn't she want to go? That's beautiful. Flight in balance. That's a very different panel to the steamy gauges. Absolutely beautiful. Come back on the old manifold. We'll come back on the props a little bit to reduce the noise. Nice early right hand turn. We'll fly about 25 on the props, about 27 or 28. Yeah, and she's a very gentle on the roll. A bit more boot required, mate. We accelerate. Continue our climb towards 3.5. We'll get Georgie engaged and we'll explore what this autopilot can do. Those of you that are interested in such things. I don't know if our track will take us or have us placed alongside those hills. It kind of looks like it might. Yeah, right at the hills. Alright, hopefully we'll be climbing well enough. Now we're going to vertical speed. We've got the autopilot master switch on, which is that one there. Flight director comes on, which is there. If I go autopilot on, it should be right. We should start to sort of settle out. Here we go. Now we've got a flying in balance. We've got a vertical speed. Does this thing have IAS hold? Do we have IAS hold? We do. Right. 143. Right. If I plug that into 160, that's a real cruise climb. 3,500 feet. Bottom of the yellow arc's just below 170. We're accelerating to 160. There we go. She's done that quite nicely. Magenta coming in. Zoom out a little bit. Zoom out a little bit. That'll be that one there. Looks like we should have clearance of those hills. Or am I just not zoomed out enough? There's the hills. We'll be right. As long as we get Georgie to intercept the magenta, Our climb rate isn't great. We're doing 160 knots, which is hardly best rate of climb. We go nav hold at this point, Georgie. Heading sync. Ground speed's 170. That's handy. We're climbing at about 400 feet a minute, 500 feet a minute now. Very good. Let's keep zooming out a little bit. Yeah, we're fine. No real terrain issues en route. We're to the north of those hills. We're fine. That's a nice leisurely cruise climb. Give me an opportunity to take an external for you. Ah, Kingy's back. As am I. There we go. Some weird issues there on the terrain, but no weird issues with this aeroplane. Thoroughly enjoyable. Of course, I kind of reflect as I, just spent a few minutes talking through the autopilot, that I don't know that you buy this type of aeroplane to use the autopilot too much. It's a type of aeroplane which makes you want to hand fly, I think, and do some arrows and stuff like that, which we may do later on in the video. But the autopilot is there. It's a very capable platform for touring and just having fun down low. Folks, I think I'll see you next for an approach. Trying to keep this video to a manageable duration, after all, the whole 3-minute thing. Alright, we are on approach into Cold Bay, Alaska, folks, down through 3,000. We've got about 6 miles to run. Now, there has been a change in plans. I wanted to make this a 4-leg video. Life calls. I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to have to end it when we get to Cold Bay. But hopefully, by the time this video ends, you feel like you've got value for your money. But of course, if you are actually paying money to watch this shit, it's a scam, folks. Someone's ripping you off. I don't ask any money. So, yeah, please don't, expend your hard-earned to watch any videos on this channel, at least. Because it is the last video, we should probably try and do some... We haven't done some arrows, have we? Now we've got... How long have we got? We've got 5 miles to run. We're at 3,000. We're well above profile anyway. Let's gun it. Let's pitch up. Let's do some other miles. So one to the left to start with. There we go. Around we go. Rolling out. Very nice. And we'll build up some speed. Pitch up. Check. Roll. One to the right. There we go. Yeah, she rolls all right. Is this thing capable of sustained inverted flight, I hear you ask? It wasn't just the voices in my head, was it? No. I'm trying to get level sustained inverted flight, which is about there. There she goes all right. Goes well without the fuel pump on. I'm sure that's part of the pre-aerobatic checks. Kind of roll out, push some negative G. There we go. Oh, that didn't feel nice. The old sim wasn't happy either with the frames. Now we have completely messed up our approach profile. The strip is down towards our left, right there. So we're going to have to lose some height pretty quickly. So what we'll do is we'll go back into idle. Hopefully not lose sight of that strip. That's not the one we wanted. There it is. That's Cold Bay. Oh, we got a cross strip. Okay. Let's see if we can slip it in. We'll just go idle. We'll just slip this thing. We'll get this thing just dirty as hell in terms of airflow. We're in a real slip here. We're coming down. Busted through our altitude. What are we doing? Yeah, we're screaming down here. At this time, I haven't determined which runway we're going to land on. Nice long strips here though at Cold Bay, especially this one. So of course I'm going to choose the shorter strip. There we go. So we're flying a left downwind to whatever this is, Cold Bay, Alaska, folks. Completely unplanned. But that's life. You can't plan for everything, can you? Now we're going for speed. Feels like we're getting along at a decent old rate. We're going well actually. I can take a stage of flap if we come around the corner. Keep that sight picture. Alright, we need to change views to that one. There we go. Down through 98. We're going alright. Another stage of flap. We might make this yet, folks. There's 80. Well, we're slow. Into the wide arc. We'll go final flat. Hey, that's alright. He's done alright there. Bit of unplanned arrows, an unplanned approach. Everything unplanned. 74 knots. Retrimming. Don't want to get too slow here. Where's the wind? Oh, it's right on our nose. Oh, the script writes itself. Here we go, folks. Welcome to Cold Bay, Alaska. Short final, runway 26. Even the birds are starting to get excited. They enjoyed that. Here we go. Yes, good on you, birdies. Hold it off a little bit. Oh, centerline pride. There we go. Folks, welcome to Cold Bay. Thank you for your company in another video and for your support of me and of this channel. It very much is appreciated. Until we next meet, you stay well, enjoy your simming, and bye for now.